Hey guys, Tropical Tim in the Philippines here. Welcome to part 2 of this series on not surviving but living in the Philippines. So there are so many different rent options here in the Philippines, from condos in your bigger cities like Makati and elsewhere, probably throughout the Philippines. But we're not going to discuss that too much because we're here to talk about how to live on $600 a month, basically a budget. So we're going to be focusing on those type of dwellings that run anywhere from 5 to 10,000 pesos a month, kind of in that range, $100 to $200. Now, the exchange rates fluctuate periodically here and there, your currency from your country to the peso, so you're going to have to keep that in mind all along the whole journey. So what kind of place are we looking for on a budget between $100 and $200 specifically just for rent? I recommend, if it's possible for you, that you seek out a dwelling at least at the second floor level or above. And the reason for this is for flooding that could happen in your area. You'll have to check that out. You can find that out ahead of time. Critters like rats, cats, and of course, security, your own individual security. So it's actually worth checking out the second floor or above. Just my recommendation. Personally, I prefer second level or above, mostly for the flooding, because it does happen intermittently, but also for the security, because most would-be thieves or prowlers in any country would rather be on a first floor level to achieve their goal versus trying to go to second level and above. So it's just something to keep in mind. Just my opinion. What's a couple flights of stairs at the worst? Now, a lot of construction continues here in the Philippines just because they're always trying to improve. So the way of the little hole in the wall places pretty much is going away. So you can find some rather nice places, very modern, very up to date, but it's still going to be one of those it is what it is scenarios. I recommend that you live nearby a main transportation hub, namely a jeepney line that can connect you to all the other places that you need to go, be it via an LRT, a bus, what have you. So don't live right on top of a jeepney line because that's going to be so loud. There's just so much noise on the main streets. But live in close proximity where you can walk. Besides, a little bit of exercise will do you a lot of good, and not to mention, you'll see and be able to experience a whole lot more. Once at the main transportation line, you can select a jeepney, you can select a bus, you can select tricycle, and all these forms can get you to the bigger buses that go to the provinces, to the beaches, or wherever it is you want to go. There's plenty to choose from. You'll just have to decide what works best for you based on how far you're going. We'll cover this in another segment under transportation as part of this video series. These forms of transportation can get you up to the MRT or LRT that can get you all around Manila. Not that doesn't exist anymore. We're talking about, yep, that's the one, so there you go. Another factor to keep in mind when selecting a location is proximity to grocery stores. You want to be able to walk, because we're assuming that on a $600 budget, you do not have or have not secured transportation for yourself. We can worry about that later. So you want to be close to the hubs where there's adequate supply of groceries, your canned goods, your everyday needs, your breads, your butters, and things like that. You're going to need it. There's usually an ample supply of stores around that can provide for your daily needs. Not to mention, you want to also be close to a wet market. And that'll give you all your Filipino foods. Very cheap, extremely inexpensive, And if you can learn to combine your diet with Filipino goods along with some Western amenities, you should do just fine. And we'll cover that on a separate video when we go ahead and discuss food. Now, being close to these places within walking distance, again, it provides you with the opportunity to take a walk, take a stroll, meet people, see the sights and sounds, take a different route every day as you head to the grocery stores or the big supermarkets or your wet markets. It's only going to benefit you. There's so much to see, so many people to meet, and you'll get to know your particular neighborhood quite well. It's very beneficial for you. There's no need to have transportation if you're within walking distance of your grocery stores, your supermarkets, and your wet markets. Again, extremely beneficial. You will gain so much from it, and you'll feel a lot better that you're fitting in and becoming part of the community, if not becoming Filipino. Now we're in Tondo, so I'm gonna show you examples of a couple homes here in Tondo. This could happen anywhere in the Philippines, any island. It just depends on you. You're gonna have to decide for yourself. So don't mind what you're looking at. You can make this place to look like anything you want, and it's very inexpensive. This is a little 2-room dwelling. It's a family of 6, and they pay 4,000 pesos. So that's about roughly $80. And you can see that obviously they make a go of it, so why couldn't one person? Remember, you're by yourself, you're looking to live on a budget. It doesn't really matter what you're looking at as far as how they got it set up. You can set it up any way that you want, and it's very simple. Now, some CRs or bathrooms will be community shared, as that one is, and some are private. It just depends what works for you. You're gonna have to factor that in. Now, some toilets actually do flush, as this one does here. But if they don't, which many of them do not, depending on what kind of place you get, you're gonna have to go ahead and flush it yourself manually, simply by having a bucket of water and scooping it. Now here's a place that goes for 6,000 pesos a month, and it's a little bigger. It has a few more things in it, like shelving. Some places has shelves, some places do not, but it is an up and down. It has its own CR, which is comfort room. For any of those of you who do not know what CR means, that's how they refer to as a bathroom or latrine here, a CR. So it does have its own CR, and it does have an up and down, bedrooms upstairs, living room, kitchen, CR downstairs. We'll go up and take a look at it, but we're talking 6,000 pesos. So we're looking at maybe $120. This is not really that bad. Again, forget what you see and how other people live. Not that these people are bad at all, but you can make it and design it any way you want. Keep in mind, Filipinos, when they move, they take light bulbs with them. So be ready for that. Now, I'm not going to show you higher end apartments because they do exist here. Many of them, very luxurious, believe it or not. But that's not going to help you on your $600 a month budget, so let's just forget about it. It just doesn't make any sense. We're concentrated on a $600 a month budget. Now here's where we step it up a little bit, and again, this is here in Tondo, and this could happen anywhere in the Philippines. Don't be fooled by what you see on the outside, it's what's on the inside that counts. This place goes for roughly 10 or 12,000 a month. It's very spacious, it's massive, it's got a CR or bathroom upstairs, downstairs, with 2 bedrooms upstairs. And look how big this place is. Some people invest a lot of time and money, and they look absolutely fabulous. You could do this if you're lucky. Okay, so most leases here, if you do get one, run about a year, but some can be less. usually requires 2 months security deposit and first month's rent. So that's 3 months up front. Most landlords will not give you back your security deposit, but you can stay an extra 2 months if you want. Seldom is there a written lease when the rents are very low, as they are here in Tondo. Another option to look for is a space for a small window air conditioner. You might need it, and then again, you might eventually get acclimated to the weather and only need a couple fans. So that's going to be up to you. Now, some places come with cabinets. Many do not when you get into the lower rent kind of places. So, but that's no problem. You just use these peel and stick hooks and they work great just for hanging up your quick grab items. And we'll talk about that more later on some future videos. So that's it for today's edition, guys. Appreciate you stopping by. Again, this is here in Tondo, but you could see this most anywhere in the Philippines. It just depends on where you want to live. There's certain things you're going to have to consider when coming here to live on a budget of $600 a month. Now, if you want to go to the province, which I am not experienced at, chances are your transportation costs will increase significantly because you have to travel further for your amenities. So keep that in mind. And we're going to talk about transportation costs and things like that in future videos. So a few other things that are worth mentioning before I get away from you. Try to get a house with separate utilities. Many are shared utilities, and that can kind of be a pain in the ass, or it can be easy depending on who you're splitting the bill with. So keep something like that in mind. Also, don't expect repairs from the landlord at these lower end places. You can do a lot of it on your own. They might repair water, sewer, and electrical problems, probably will, but don't expect them to patch a little hole in the floor or wall or anything like that. They're not going to come in and repaint it. That's not going to happen. Check for flaws like water stains on the ceiling or on the floor, some holes toward the baseboard where little critters can enter, and do your own repairs. It's cheap if you're very creative. So that's just a little bit extra tidbit. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for stopping. Look forward to seeing you in part 3. Peace out.